move. So just do that.
Yes.
My ballerina and me, we two are as close as can be. Whether I'm trying to climb up a tree or sitting down with you for tea, we're dancing, we're dancing. Sometimes we go for a long stroller ride, or in the playground I can go down the slide. It doesn't really matter the things that we do. All that matters is just me and you. We're dancing, we're dancing. My ballerina and me, we two are as close as can be. Thanks for stopping over to come and see my ballerina, my ballerina, my ballerina and me.
Very special guest today. Her name is Sarah Elliot, and I met Sarah years ago. Hi, Sarah. I met her years ago through my school when we began in Binghamton, New York, called the Carousel Cities Youth Ballet, and she danced with us for many years in many productions. A beautiful dancer. Hi, Sarah. How
Hello.
are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I brought the crew because right before the live, I had to continue to insist to take the devices away. It's not an easy, I'm going to give him a cup of tea instead, which I'm sure
There we go.
device, but it's not an easy struggle, but it's so good to see you. And just for people watching, Sarah's an amazing dancer, and she's got 2 girls at home. And how have you been doing during this quarantine? How's everything?
Oh my goodness, what an adventure has it been? You know, I don't know what the right word is for it, but every day we're sort of learning and figuring out how to make it work. And being in this uncharted territory, I think we're all sort of in the same boat with that, and just figuring things out. So we're working our way through it. We're doing okay.
Yeah, yeah. And your line of work, you're probably very busy, even if it's virtual. I'm sure you've got a lot of families reaching out to you.
Absolutely.
A lot of questions and challenges.
Yeah. Prior to everything with COVID-19, I had been doing home visits with families. My work is when behavior problems happen at home and families are feeling stressed and not sure really how to handle it, they can request a person like myself to come and try to help troubleshoot and see what might be going on and how can we smooth things out. And so I had a whole range of things that I was working on before the pandemic hit. And now, though, it's a whole new layer of things that are going on as families are just at home a lot more, around each other a lot more. The stress and anxiety of the world right now is weighing down on things. So it really is a challenging time.
All kidding aside, for real, we are, and you pull up, come on in here. We've got, I've got my 2 clients for you. What? Yeah, I mean, what do you do? What do you do when that's the way to connect with their friends? I think that's the pull of that game for one thing. Other than the other thing is it really doesn't seem to have an ending to it, which drives me crazy. I remember I was with my Nintendo as a kid a lot, and I remember I at least could pause the level, but it just seems like this thing never ends.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, so there's different kinds of games out there, and you're right. There's the games that you might find at the arcade or like a Nintendo game, and those games you could pause. You would get to the end and you finish the game, and you kind of moved on to the next thing, and that was sort of, you had some closure with it. But now there are these games out there that are never ending. Game creators have made them so that they entice you to play more and more because there is no
some
end.
Game creators are kids themselves, right?
I imagine so.
Making a fortune.
Yes. Yes. I mean, that's just it. I mean, they know how to make money, and they know how to keep people coming back. And it's these games like, they call them role-playing games, but they're games like Roblox, Minecraft, World of Warcraft, and these things, the developers are very, very good at figuring out how to keep you hooked. And when you're playing a game, you have this real sense of, look at this progress I'm making, and look at these rewards I'm getting, and this feels really good. I feel really accomplished when I play this game, and I want to do this some more because I'm so good at it and it feels so good. And before you know it, you have been sucked into playing for hours or days at a time. Yes. You've lost interest in other activities you used to do. You're losing human connection with other people. And when you're not playing, all you can think about is, when do I get to play again? Yes. And it can really take over your life.
And what is the balance we should find as parents where I'm not, see, when I snatch it away, I also realize there are consequences that come with that on our relationship. Yeah. I've made that, and you know, I've made that mistake sometimes where I will just flat out delete the game. And one time he said to me, he said, by doing that, that's like cutting off my friendships. And when then I felt bad.
Right. So you're right. It's all about finding this balance. There's all sorts of screen time that go on, whether it's video games or watching videos or just watching TV as well. And I think all of them sort of have their drawbacks to them, and I think some are worse than others. I think some do pull you in a lot more. So it's about finding the balance. And as parents, I think the struggle is, there's a couple things that are going on for parents when they're trying to figure this out. One is guilt, that I feel really bad taking this away from my child. This is something they really enjoy. This is their chance with their friends. I feel bad if I take it away. And more than ever, with families working at home, parents working at home, if I take this away from my child, what are they going to do now? I've got to work. I've got things to get done. I can't entertain them, you know, if I take away the device. And it just feels really overwhelming. And I think when you think about what a video game serves for a child, and we think about, okay, if I'm going to take that away, what am I going to replace it with? Because it's not as easy as just, I'm going to take it away and now you're on your own. It really is helping the child navigate, how can I fill my time now that I don't have this device to rely on anymore. So you think about social connection, and that it truly is a way to connect and stay connected with friends. And if that's the purpose it's serving, then what is another way that we can connect with friends that doesn't involve playing a video game? Goodness, it's really tough. It's really tough to be able to monitor what's going on, have your child keeping you informed of the sorts of things they're doing, keeping that open communication. And ultimately, you know, it's pulling back as much as you can, but at the same time to be able to kind of navigate in the world we live in, there is a certain amount of screen time that is required to do that. And which reminds me, you know, one thing to think about if you're going to pull back on games and think about how to engage my child in life and in things that are important and important for their development and growth and to become an adult someday and able to kind of function, is thinking about, well, what do video games do that hook kids in? How can I do that sort of on my own in here, in our home, in the world? And one of the things that video games that they do is they break down these little tasks, these little missions, these little things that you're trying to do to accomplish, and ultimately you might be working towards a bigger goal. But video games are really good at rewarding you along the way, and you're getting these diamonds or gems and leveling up. And you think about, well, how could I do that in everyday life? So if I ask my child to clean their room and they hear that and they're just instantly, I don't want anything to do with that. But when you break it down for them and you say, okay, we're going to clean your room and we're going to make it into a bunch of little missions. The first mission is you're going to take all your dirty clothes and you're going to put them together and put them in the dirty clothes hamper. And breaking things down into smaller steps can be really helpful for kids to engage in whatever the activity is. A lot of times when adults say, do this thing, we as adults know what we mean, but oftentimes kids don't know what that means. And so they're trying to figure that out, and they sort of do it wrong, and then the adult comes in and says, "What, you didn't do what I asked you to do." So breaking things down into smaller steps can be really helpful for kids to engage better with whatever the task is, whether it's something enjoyable or maybe it's a chore or something like that. And I think kids really do well when they are, the thing with video games is that they're getting these little rewards all along when they're accomplishing certain tasks. And as parents, kind of keeping that in mind. And you certainly don't need to reward every single thing that your child's doing right. In fact, that probably wouldn't pay off in the end, but you'd reward when you can. And it doesn't have to be a prize or anything tangible even. Just a verbal praise sometimes is enough. But that they're getting credit and they're getting recognized for doing the thing that you want them to do. And then that helps reinforce that behavior, and hopefully you can start building some momentum with that little bit and think, how can I reconfigure this so that the day doesn't feel so stressful and so rough? And there might be a few little changes you could do, putting a little bit of structure into the day, breaking down some tasks so that they don't feel so big and overwhelming to the child, and just doing some of those things that could help smooth it out a bit.
Because for a lot of parents watching, for once in my life, my timing was very good in that we chose to homeschool last September. And so many things affected my business, a lot of things around me, but we were homeschooling. So I'm grateful that their schooling didn't get thrown up in the air as much. New York City is a very difficult time right now. And still, a lot of the parents, I had a meeting yesterday, a lot of the parents are still not completely sure what the latest plan is. It's still every day changing. Like there's a plan, but it changes. And so, you know, some of the kids, a lot of the parents said, okay, enough. We're going to strictly do online schooling, which means from like 8:30 to 2:30, at least, these kids are doing screen time. Yes. And so that's its own form of, it's just overwhelming to think about that. Yes. And I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but I can only imagine as a human being, you know, I don't think God put us on this earth to just stare at a screen all day. And I shouldn't say this because it's a downer. I've heard on somewhere, and I'd have to fact check, but in a normal human being's lifespan, we spend 44 years looking at a screen. And I thought, what? That's not possible. But there are times where I check my phone and it tells me my daily screen time, and I can't believe it. And some of it is productive and some of it is surfing, and it's a mix of things, because the phone it's not just a phone anymore. It's your camera, it's your computer, it's your notes, it's your schooling, it's your work.
It's everything. It's everything. And I read a statistic somewhere that something like kids between the ages of maybe 7 and teenager are spending, like on average, something like seven hours a day or something on screens, which is just incredible when you think about it. And if you subtract out sleep time, that time you're awake, most of it is spent on a screen.
The third of your day.
Yeah, yeah. And you're right with now, and I heard this a lot from the parents I work with, that schooling is, this at-home distance learning is requiring kids to be on a screen now. And in order to get their education and do that, it's you have to do it. You have to do it. And so now kids are required to be on a screen for school. And when then we're not doing schooling, and maybe that, I've put in my time, I did my schoolwork, I was on my Zoom calls, and now I just want to relax, and they want to pull out a video game, and now it's just more screen time. I mean, kids don't want to pull out a book. They don't want to take a walk outside. They don't want to do those things. The video game, they're just designed to be so efficient at giving us what we need, so to speak, that this sense of accomplishment, this sense of, this is something I can control, this is something that is predictable, and I know exactly what I can do, and I'm the one in charge of this thing. The rest of life is so crazy and unpredictable right now, but this game lets me do that, and I get rewarded for it, and I can escape from everything else. And games are so good at providing that to people that it's just so tempting to use that as your way to fill in the gaps in the day when you're not trying to be productive doing something else.
From what I'm hearing from you is to really keep the communication open with your kids. Try to create a schedule that allows for what they need with their gaming, but allows for what you need as a parent, to not feel like that's all we're doing.
Yes. Yep. Breaking down things into smaller steps so kids don't feel so overwhelmed with the tasks that you would like them to do.
I'm going to take that advice for myself.
Yes. Well, you think about even a to-do list. There's some people, myself included, I love a to-do list. I love to put down all the things that I want to get done in a day, because it is so satisfying when I can cross that off my list, and it feels very accomplished. And it's a similar thing that happens in video games. You usually have your little missions and tasks and things you need to do in order to get to your goal. And so that concept of a to-do list, a checklist, can be really helpful.
And I know if I didn't plug into what I love to do and just be overwhelmed with the work of it is its own form of addiction. I think we're all addicts in some way. And I mean, maybe I'm like speaking outside of what I should, but I think everybody is addicted to something. And if you understand what it is you need to be in and go with it, I think that's what's important. Because, kids need something that overwhelms them and that just drives them forward. Otherwise, all this stuff gets in our way.
Yes.
And it can waste years of our lives.
Yes.
And you wake up and you're nowhere further ahead.
Yes. I think that's just it. It's how to channel this. So we have this capacity for being really passionate about something and preoccupied with it and wanting to put all this energy into it. And boy, if we could find something that is very productive and can take all of that and make something great or beautiful with it, then that's the way to do it. And I think that's the challenge for us parents, is how do I find what really turns my kid on and makes them excited? And then when they are, then you'll start seeing them take initiative and see the independence and the drive and the motivation to do all of that, because it's rewarding in and of itself, because it's something that they care so much about. And it's not even about the rewards. It's something that they just enjoy doing. And if you can find that, then I think that's pretty incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just because we're calling this a positivity, like we all know all the downs of this whole pandemic time. Can you give me just one good thing that you have found has come out of this? Actually, on the phone, you were giving me a few. Give me a positive something that has come out of this quarantine time, this strange time.
Sure.
As a personal story for you and your family. Positive.
Yeah, sure. There's no question about it that as hard as this pandemic has been, there have been really positive, wonderful things that have come from it. And if somebody said to me today, you know what, Sarah, it's back to life as normal tomorrow, I think I would be really grieving some of the things that I have gained from this pandemic. And so when everything happened, me and my husband both started working from home, and the kids were home as well. And so now we were all home together. And I had a baby a year ago. She turned 1 in May. And after she was born, I had a little bit of a maternity leave, but I was working and she was in daycare. And so when the pandemic happened, we pulled her out of daycare, and I had months of time with her that was completely unexpected. I had no idea I'd be able to have this opportunity again to spend all this time with her. And it's such an exciting age when they're 1 year old. There's so many things happening, the growth and development, and being able to see some of those really wonderful milestones that all would have happened at daycare if it was business as usual. And it was just lovely and wonderful to be home and spending time with my family. Yes, being with your family all the time can be stressful and really hard, but there's also been really wonderful moments of that. And I feel really lucky this happened in the spring and summer months, because we've been able to get outside so much more than we used to be able to in the summers when we were all working and all those sorts of things. And so just sort of discovering new activities and projects, all the while, you know, balancing that with work and managing a household as well. But they're really, as I said, if somebody said tomorrow everything's back to normal, I'd be really sad to let go of some of that family time that has come from this.
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah.
For me, I have a lot of commuting as part of my life.
Yes.
So I have been for years.
Yes.
I don't miss that side of it.
Yes.
Like even the logistics of packing and, you know, just to get more settled. And
yes.
You know, I've lived where I've lived for a few years. It sounds ridiculous, but there are certain elements that I haven't like unpacked or put together the way I wanted to. And so paying attention to that has given me some reward.
Yeah, I think this is, and I've heard that from other people as well. Like, I've heard some people talk about opening up old boxes and finding old family photos and photos that they haven't looked at in years and years, and going back and having those memories and reminiscing again. What a lovely opportunity to do that. And that, again, that never would have happened.
None of us would have the time.
Yeah.
The fast-paced world is before.
Yeah. So these little things that sort of got pushed to the side, and you always think, well, someday when I'm not busy, I'll pull that out. And you never do, because life never slows down. And we've sort of, it's been put upon us to slow down a bit. And wow, let's take advantage of that. Let's make the most of it. We can be home and be miserable about it, or we can try to figure out something to make the most of it and create some new memories. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad for this visit together.
Yeah,
and I think you've given us as parents some really good advice. And
I
can't wait
so.
to see with you in person, Sarah.
I know. I can't wait, Elizabeth. I know we're long overdue. So as soon as we can.
Beautiful girls, your new baby girl. So best to all of your family. And I see we've got some great followers. Your parents are on there. So best to all of you. And I can't wait to see you guys in person. Thank you so much for this, Sarah.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Have a great day. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
with the New American Youth Ballet, my daughter Camila, and technical assistant. I don't know what she's doing. I'm here to tell you about the adventures of my ballerina and me show, our educational ballet show on every Sunday, 4 p.m., Channel 2 on mnn.org. What are some of your favorite episodes that we've done?
The summer intensive one. The summer intensive.
Like the kids put the show together themselves.
Yeah, and it showed like time lapse of us cleaning a studio and things like that. And my second favorite one was the Capizio fashion show.
That was fun.
Because we made a song and everything.
I really liked my interview with Eliza Minden, the founder of Gatorman and Point Shoes. I also liked Miko Fogarty, all the advice she gave the dancers. She's a gold medalist ballerina. She won the gold medal in the Moscow International Ballet Competition. Your teacher, Jessica Howard, who is a world champion rhythmic gymnast and advocate for safety in the gyms and in the studio. And of course, you'll see class with us, and I never know what Camila's up to next. So tune in, Channel 2, 4 p.m. on Sunday.
You can search it on Bing.
No, they could subscribe though to our YouTube channel.
No, I'm saying you can search Bing.com, and then from there, Bing.com is a very secure website, by the way.
This has nothing to do with our
If you go to
pronoun.
Bing.com, then you search MNN dot, like a little dot, org, O-R-G. Press the
They
search
know
button. There you go. But it's on Bing, and I'm not sure if it's gonna come
It's
out.
on any search engine. It's not.
Yeah, it's also on DuckDuckGo. That's a really
Okay,
great
she
search
gives
engine.
commercials for people
That's
like have
so good.
really nothing to.
DuckDuckGo. We love DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. We're on DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo sponsor us, actually.
No, they don't.
They sponsor us in their
they
DuckDuckGo
don't.
commercials.
You're
Yeah.
supposed to like, subscribe on the Adventures of My
Yeah,
Ballerina and
and
me on
smash the like
YouTube.
button. That's what everybody
What?
says. They always say, "Oh, smash that like button."
Okay, all right.
They
See you
always say
Sunday.
that.
Back in the room.
Bye.